Huddersfield Town. The most famous goal of Chris Billy's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Thank you.
Ruby and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Welcome to episode 76 of The Warm-Up. You might be wondering, this isn't Brady, and you'd be right, it isn't. But don't be worried, because Brady hasn't left us in the lurch like Carlos did a week before the season starts, and we've recruited from within. Has he? I don't know. I might be your interim host, or potentially I might be permanent host, who knows. But I'm here tonight joined by Joe Beckett-Scott and James Warnock-Whittaker. How are you both?
Yeah, doing good, thanks, Tom. Hopefully you're good too.
Yeah, not bad, James.
Good, thanks, Tom.
Nice to hear.
Very good, thank you, Tom.
It's always good to have Warnie on the pod, innit? So yeah, let's set the scene of this coming Friday, shall we? So Burnley are our opponents for the opening game of the 2022-23 season. Quite a mouth-watering encounter, I think, on paper, and I guess that's why it was picked for Sky on Friday night. Vincent Kompany comes to the the John Smith Stadium, with his Burnley squad as the new head coach, after relegation from the Premier League of 6 seasons in the Premier League it was. It's quite a good stint, that. Big change from Dyche to Kompany. So I don't know what both of your initial thoughts are of that. It's quite an interesting appointment, don't you think, Joe?
Yeah, wasn't expecting it at all. And quite risky, I'd say, when you've just been relegated. Do you think you'd go for more of a traditional safe pair of hands? But they haven't. I don't know too much about Kompany's style of play, like whether it'll be vastly different to Dyche or if they've seen something similar, which I can't imagine, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. Do you know much about what he's like?
I know, yeah, he started off quite roughly at Anderlecht, didn't he? And then it did start to pick up.
Okay.
I think his football was quite good to watch from what I heard in that second season when they started getting his philosophy over. And I think kind of by the players that maybe he's brought in, it's not going to be straight carbon copy of Dyche football, is it? So yeah, it is an interesting appointment. James, I don't know what you think about it, and do you think like maybe he might struggle to adapt to Championship football, because I'm pretty sure like the Belgian league is quite different to the second tier of English football, isn't it?
Yeah, this is it. It kind of seems like from his point of view, he's probably still got a house in Manchester and thought, it's an easy commute. I'll just nip across to Burnley, and it's a lovely old job. You know what I mean? It seems like a sort of marriage of convenience in that respect, if that's not a bit mean. But, apparently by all accounts played quite, progressive sort of possession football. So I suppose that makes sense, having played under Guardiola and like Mancini and those type managers. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I think it'll take a while to maybe adjust. If he is gonna sort of change the way they play and make it a success, I think it won't happen immediately. So I think it's a great opportunity for Town, really.
Yeah, it's got to give you, I don't know, maybe a bit of hope going into it, hasn't it? That he's not experienced in this league. I think it's quite interesting who's come in this season for them. I think when I look at the signings, it's quite sensible Championship signings. Scott Twine being a standout player for me, who's come in. And then he's brought over that Josh Cullen from Anderlecht, who obviously he liked the look of. So, and then Egan Riley on loan from City. Well, 2 City loans actually, hasn't he? So, it might even be 3. Now, looking at my notes, I think it actually
that Howard Bellis is meant to be a good player.
Yeah.
So they've made some good signings, I think. But compared to like if we were playing or when we played Norwich opening day, I wasn't expecting out from that. But I'm actually pretty confident for this one. I don't know why. I can just feel something. I think we're going to do well. Maybe they'll have the hangover that we did, or maybe not. But yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be a good one.
I mean, do you think they could have that hangover from coming down from that league, given that they didn't go down not fighting really, did they? They actually looked half decent at points last season. And
that's true.
They've kept a few core players there, so I don't know if you think that'll mean they'll just almost carry it on going into the season coming.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? I mean, they're definitely not going to come down with a hangover that we did. And they probably do still have a better squad. But yeah, I just think with the new manager as well, they're going to be, if you're going to be able to get them, it's probably going to be first game of the season, whilst they're all still getting settled down and stuff. And I think we've actually recruited pretty well this off season. Obviously losing O'Brien and Toffolo is going to be a blow, but I think we've recruited pretty well.
Yeah. James, they've had an alright pre-season, Burnley. They beat Rochdale and Shrewsbury and then lost to Wolves 3-0. Can you read anything into those kind of results in pre-season?
Well, I'd say probably not really. I guess Rochdale is like a bit of a local one that they've done. There's probably a bit like Town maybe played another 11, which like their B team basically, in some of them games, I imagine. I also saw a thing that said that they'd raided Man City, which I thought was quite funny because it's not like they've got Grealish and like Foden. Yeah, I think, it's one of them. I don't think you can read into it. I think that I was just having a think then, and I think that we saw with when Corberan came in, he just didn't have the players to implement his style. And I wonder whether Company will go full sort of possession football, Guardiola style on sort of the first game, or whether he'll try and do like manage it in a way that maybe do a bit of the old style mixed in with some new, playing a little bit more football. So it'd be interesting to see which way he goes with it, really. I think you could maybe have try and do a little bit of both. We have like a bit more, just play it on the ground a bit more, but still have the option of getting balls into the box for players like Ashley Barnes, etc. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see really, but I wouldn't read loads into pre-season, I don't think.
No. What, you're not even going to read into our pre-season though, James? I mean, what a win away at Tranmere.
Well, I was at Harrogate away, so I can't really. But yeah, as I say, that was the sort of second string 11, I'd probably say. So yeah, it's one of them. It's like when we beat Leon, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then we went down with like an awful points record. So
yeah, I was just going to say that.
So I guess touching on kind of their ins and outs, is there anyone this season that is a bit like you're a bit worried about coming Friday night? Anyone who stands out for you in that Burnley squad, James?
I think we've already mentioned him already, but I think I'd probably go with Scott Twine, who also appears to be the poshest footballer ever, having just beaten Patrick Bamford to that one. But yeah, he seems like a really exciting player. He's come up through the leagues. He seems like very kind of like Football Manager type, bit of a data-driven type guy with like a data-driven type agent. So he's picking all his moves based on like how he's going to fit into systems. So I can only assume that means Company's going to play like possession football and make use of him. So it'd be interesting to see how he sort of slots in. They paid a decent whack. I think they paid like 6 million for him. And he just seems to be able to do a little bit of everything that you'd want from like a 10, bit of a dead ball specialist, can beat a man. He's got over 30 goal contributions in League One and won Player of the Year. So he should be able to make the step up, I'd have thought. I think he might be able to just inject something a bit different into that side.
Yeah, I think for me, whoever was going to snap him up in the Championship, I think is going to have a decent season from what he looked like for MK. I always thought it was probably a stretch that Town would get in there. So I think really good shout that, mate. What about you, Joe? Who have you gone for? Any of the old Dyche lads, or is it one of Company's new men?
No, it's one of the old ones, and probably the most obvious one. Maybe second most obvious one, I don't know. I went for Dwight Mcneil. I know there's been rumours linking him away. I think Newcastle I saw today or yesterday was linked, but I assume he'll probably still be around for Friday. Yeah, I mean, he was good, or at least had glimpses of being a dangerous player in the Prem, so I think we should definitely be worried about him on Friday. Yeah, for obvious reasons, just like a very talented player. I was hoping that like deals for him and Cornet would be a lot further down the road and they wouldn't be featured on Friday, but I don't think it's going to be that way, to be honest. I think we might even see both of them, which is quite scary.
Yeah, that Cornet one as well, yeah. It's interesting though, isn't it? Do you think they can handle it? Do you think they want to be there? Will they put in a performance or not? That's another thing, isn't it? Because I think we struggled for that. Players not particularly wanting to play for us that first season back in the Championship.
Yeah, and it definitely brings down their level in the team's level, right? If they are being like that, so that's something we can hope for. But if he's fired up and he wants to get a good move or wants to get Burnley back in the Premier League, then we should be worried.
Yeah, I agree. Two beautiful picks there, lads. You've obviously done your research. Brady would be proud. Looking down from us from the Portugal skies, wherever he is.
Very jealous, very, very jealous. It's all right for some, isn't
it? I know. But yeah, I've gone with Jack Cork as mine. He might even be retired, but I just thought, like, he's got to be a bit of a Burnley legend now. I think that they need one of those old heads to have a good season, to be back up there and challenging for me. And I think in this league, football cliche coming out, but you got to have that good defence to win games, haven't you? So, and I think he's key to that. So that's all I had down, Jack Cork. But yeah, Cornet and McNeil are scary because they're Prem quality, aren't they? Yeah. Although McNeil didn't have a good season last year. And
yeah, he was better before, wasn't he? Yeah, definitely. I think Cork's a great shout though. Like you said, if they're going to be successful this season, he'll be part of the reason why. For sure.
Yeah. So there we have it. That's our key player for Burnley. But I wonder what it'd be like if we had some actual decent Burnley information. Well, someone caught up with, it might be me, it might be Joe, it might be James, probably be me, but we don't know because it's happening in the future. But someone caught up with Joe from Turfcast to find out about a bit more about Burnley and his thoughts on Huddersfield Town. Right, cheers Tom from the past. This is Tom from the future with Joe from Turfcast from the future. So Joe, how are you today, mate? You alright?
Yeah, good, thanks mate, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. It's all good in the future, innit? We're a step closer to that game on Friday night.
Yeah, some flying cars outside as well.
There we go. So let's dive straight in, shall we? So Burnley this season. How do you think you'll be this season? What are your expectations coming down to the Championship?
I think for me, it's got to be top six minimum. Anything less than top six, and I'll be disappointed with. Having said that, if we're challenging for the top six and we miss out like a couple of days till the end and finish eighth, for example, then I won't be too disheartened. But say like if we did what you did in your first season and we're 17th, 18th at majority of the season, I'll be pretty miffed with that. But it's one of them, new manager. 8 new players in. We've lost 10, including a lot of leaders. We lost the captain, we lost the main goalkeeper, we lost the main guy in Sean Dyche. So there's going to be, there is a lot of change. So for me, there's going to be a lot of change and things like that. And we've got to be patient as fans. And I think that's the main thing. I think we might start slowly, which will be good for you boys. Obviously, we'll play you first. I think it might take a couple of months to get into our stride. Similar to Forest last season, but not that extreme, not going from bottom to promoted. But I do think we'll start slowly. And for me, we've just got to be patient as fans and make sure we don't get on the back of the players, because some of them won't be used to it, because some of them are coming up from League One. Vincent Kompany, he's not been in the job that long. You would think it'd be water off a duck's back from his playing career. He's captained his country, for God's sake, at a World Cup, so you would think he would be used to stuff like that. But for a new manager, I just feel like we need to be a little bit patient, and it's changing everything about it, the style of play. I've just mentioned all the incomings and outgoings. So a slow start, but I think we'll be there or thereabouts come the end of the season. Hopefully, more towards the top 2 than the bottom half of the playoffs. But I do think maybe 4th, something like that. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because I think we've all in the past ourselves in the past said we expect Burnley to have a good season. We're with you on that one. It's interesting touching on Dyche, because he almost came part of the furniture, didn't he, at Turf Moor, to be fair?
Yeah, he was.
So I don't know what are your views on him leaving and the new appointment of Kompany?
It's one of them that he'll always be a legend. I've watched my club playing European football. All right, some people say you didn't actually qualify, but I've seen Burnley play a competitive game against Olympiacos. I went to Athens to watch Burnley against Olympiacos. I'm 34, so when I started watching Burnley, we're playing against York City. Teams like that. So I'll always be thankful for what he did. I do feel like it had gone a bit stale, though. I won't go as far as saying he'd outstayed his welcome, because I don't think he had. But I do think it had gone a bit stale. I don't think that was 100% Dyche's fault. He wasn't being backed. There wasn't a big influx of players and stuff like that coming in. So I think that didn't help. But that is mainly the previous chairman. I think he's to blame for that one. But Dyche wasn't, again, blameless in that, because there were certain players that, we'd go for and Sean Dyche would turn his nose up at because they didn't match his style. So I do think it had gone stale, and it's one of them. I didn't like the reputation that we had. I didn't mind it. I think you just mentioned it on our podcast. Like, I don't necessarily mind a boring or negative style of play. Or, you can play football how you want, as long as it's getting results. It doesn't matter if you're shutting up shop or you're sitting back. But when you're doing well and you're winding fans up and you're going to Anfield and winning 1-0 and they're all fuming, going, you can't play football like that. It's like, well, we can and we beat you. So, but then when you're sitting back and getting beat, it's not fun to watch. And it had gone stale. And I kind of like the fact that we're completely trying to change the ethos. Like I said, it might be a slow start, but I'm hoping that people see Burnley in a more positive light, because we're going to try and play some football. We're going to try and hold possession. We're going to try and get the ball forward in positive ways rather than just lumping it up front to Ashley Barnes, for example. So I'm happy with the appointment. And I think he's the perfect man for it at this time, not necessarily in terms of his experience in management, but because we're changing the ethos and the style, we've got to bring a lot of people in. And Vincent Kompany seems to have a bit of a pull. People seem to want to play for him, which is weird, because people don't really usually want to come to Burnley. They kind of come reluctantly, but people now want to come. They want to play for us. Whether that's because we're going through a different type of player now, we're in the lower leagues. But a lot of the players that come in, even some that played in the Championship last season, like Ian Markson, Taylor Hayward-Bellis, they've come in and said, "Yeah, Vincent Kompany is the reason why I'm here." So I think he's good for that, to bring their style of players in, to change the ethos of the club. Hopefully, he's a good enough manager to be able to get things right tactically. But yeah, time will tell. I just hope, as I said before, this slow start doesn't sort of like screw us over.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see how he adapts, isn't it? Like you said, what is it? Is it 3 City players he's brought in? So that kind of leads me into that next question. It's like, which of these players that he has brought in? Because we think you've had a good window coming down to the Championship, but I think there's a lot of good quality coming into Burnley.
Yeah.
Who excites you the most that's maybe coming?
Probably Scott Twine at the minute, because he's a forward. And I know he's very good at set pieces. He was the League One player of the season last year, in the League One team of the year, obviously, as you'd expect if he's a League One player. He scores goals. I'm just hoping that he can make that step up. I don't think the quality is, it is, but I'm saying I don't think the quality is too big of a gap for players to make the step up between League One and the Championship. It's not like Championship in the Premier League. So I do think he is capable of doing it. But Samuel Bastien as well, who's come from Standard Liège, he's looked decent in pre-season. I don't know much about him, if I'm being honest with you, but he has looked decent in pre-season. Then you've got Ian Markson, who I've already mentioned. He's a City player, but he's come on loan. He was at Coventry last year. They loved him. And there's the goalkeeper as well, Muric. Now, he has been in the Championship before, didn't do very well, to be honest, when he was at Forest. He had a couple of mistakes and they dropped him, but he played quite well in Turkey last year. I'm aware that is a bit of a step up between the Turkish, even the Turkish top league and the Championship. So it's interesting, but for me, I'm most excited about Twine. But I'm mainly more excited about some of the lads that are already here. Dwight Mcneil, if I keep hold of him, I think he'll have a fantastic season in the Championship. Connor Roberts, he's a brilliant fullback and he was class last season in the Premier League. And obviously he played for, was it Swansea before he came to Burnley, or he played in the Championship? My main worry is the goalkeeper, because he might be a little bit ropey at first, and the two centre-backs. Now, I do like Taylor Harewood-Bellis. He's, of course, the England under-21 captain. He's played for Stoke City last season, played for the other team down the M65, I think the season before, or the first half of last season. Don't worry, we all make mistakes. So he's going to be good. It's just who we play next to him. That's some of the other lads that we brought in. I know we brought in McNally from Oxford, but he's apparently a little bit rusty. CJ Egan-Riley from City. He's only 19, so I'm a little bit worried about the centre-back and the goalkeeper, because we've lost obviously a lot of experience there. You've lost Ben Mee, Tarky and Pope, so it's going to be different. But yeah, if I had to pick a player I'm more excited about, it'd be Scott Twine.
Yeah, he does look really exciting. One of those shining lights for MK Dons last season. Yeah. One that a lot of Town fans on top of the list, but yeah, that was probably never going to happen for Town, to be honest. So yeah, speaking about Town, obviously from the outside looking in, it's probably been quite an interesting watch. Obviously we were in the playoff final, and then almost like 3 or 4 weeks later we lost this manager. There's 2 best players potentially, you could say that. What do you think of Huddersfield Town for this coming season?
I have this down as a very difficult game for Burnley. When we got the fixture list, I was like, for God's sake, I don't really want to play Huddersfield Town away on the opening day of the season, because we could easily go there and get beat. You've got good enough players to hurt us. I think you can make a playoff charge. I think you've got to be looking to repeat that again, because we've just spoken obviously on my podcast. You feel like yourself that you think you're quite similar in strength last season. So if you're similar in strength to last season, obviously you finished, the playoff final, so you're technically, the 4th best team in the league if you want to look at it that way. So why can't you do that again? I do worry for you, obviously losing the manager, losing 2 of your best players might upset the apple cart a bit, because it were all a bit unexpected and just kind of happened. But I do think you're good enough to be thereabouts come the end of the season. I put it this way, like I said, I'm very disappointed with playing you. I say disappointed. It's a nice, easy game to get to, and I will be.
Yeah.
But it's one of them. I think we could easily get beat there. And I've been to one. I think the season we finished second in the Championship in 2014, you beat us at what was then the Gal Farm, I think it was, or whatever it was called back then. So I have seen Burnley get beat there before. So yeah, it's a game I'm looking forward to, but I think, you have got players to hurt us, so we'll see. Yeah.
I always go off with looking in the past though. You've got quite a good record against us, especially I think we've had 1 win in the last 8 against you, so maybe the chances are with Burnley a bit more coming Friday. But do you have a prediction for Friday then?
Yeah, I'm going to sit on the fence simply because I haven't seen Burnley play much in pre-season. If at all, to be honest, because we've only played 1 game where fans can actually go to, and that was against Shrewsbury, which is 2.5 hours away, which seems a bit far for a friendly, and I was working anyway. So you're a decent side, so I am going to sit on the fence. I'm going to go 1-1 because I don't know what to expect with Burnley. That's the exciting thing. Like, it sounds like I'm being negative about it. I'm not. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch Burnley under a new manager and a new style of play with 8 new players, after losing 10 players. So I'm going to sit on the fence just simply because I don't know what to expect. But I think honestly, I think all 3 results are on the cards here. That's pretty much the same for any game in the Championship, really. There's a couple of shocks here. For example, if, Luton beat Norwich at Norwich, for example, everyone would raise a few eyebrows. But it's one of them games where nobody would look at that and see Huddersfield won 3-0 or Burnley won 3-0 and be like, oh, bloody hell, that's a shock. So it's one of them games. So I think that's why I'm sitting on the fence as well. That, and like I said, I don't really know what to expect from Burnley.
Right, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game Friday. I am really looking forward to it, Joe, though. It's good that football's back in it. So that's all I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to getting back in the ground. A couple of pints before the game, maybe a pint. So yeah, thanks Joe for coming on. It's really good to talk to you. All the best for Friday, but not too much to be fair, because
Yeah.
I think we want a decent start going into this season.
Yeah.
Can you let our listeners know where we can find you on social?
Yeah, so it's just Turfcast Podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter. We do a lot of stuff on YouTube. I will be doing a match day vlog for the game, regardless of the result. I need to get into that mentality this season because I went on a few games last season. I went to Brentford and we got dicked 2-0. I was like, I filmed it all. I'm not putting this up. I don't want to put it up because that was one of them games where I was like, right, we're going down here. This we are going down. So I didn't want to put it up. But even if you tonkers 4-0, maybe not 4-0, but say you forget me, I'll still put it up. But so yeah, if you want to go and check that out, or listen to our preview that we've just done, it's just Turfcast Podcast on anything. Like I said, we do a lot of stuff on YouTube as well, and I'm trying to push YouTube a little bit more at the minute.
Nice one, mate. Yeah, I'm sure you'll have a good time on Friday night anyway, regardless of the result.
Well, I'll have a few beers anyway, so regardless of the result, at least I'll be off cut.
Nice one. All right. Cheers, mate. Thanks for that.
Cheers, mate. No, thanks for inviting me.
Cheers. Well, thanks, Joe from the future. That was really interesting. So, next up.
I love that.
Next up on the agenda is a delve into our mailbag that is overflowing with questions because everyone wants to know what we think about town. Let me go in there. Let me put my hand deep into the mailbag, see what comes out. Well, ooh, look, what's this? It's all glittery and shiny. What's it? Oh, I'll open this up, shall I, Joe? What do you think?
Get it open. I can't wait.
Dear Tom, James and Joe, now the dust has settled, how are you lads feeling about Danny Schofield and the team ahead of the Burnley game? From Anonymous.
It's Brady in the airport, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Brady's felt sorry for us. No one sent us anything. And, he's anonymously sent us a mailbag. But that's his question.
Yeah, no. I'm still as optimistic, if not more, to be honest. The more I've thought about it, and there hasn't really been any nasty, grisly details coming out after or about stats or anything. And I think it all seems quite settled. Yeah, I'm still pretty confident that Scoff will be good. And just buzzing to see a town player from that generation that I know us three absolutely love, get a chance to be manager. Like, imagine if he turns out to be an absolute class manager for town. That'll just be such a nice story. So yeah, I'm still optimistic.
It would, wouldn't it? And we all know how much James loves his like cult heroes and everything.
Yeah.
So James, what do you think? Are you buzzing for Schofield, or do you have some reservations still?
No reservations whatsoever. No, obviously I think did a bit of a Lampard then, but I think it's a good appointment really, because I think he's at the sort of same point Carlos was at when he came in, if not even further along, and also he's a town legend, town cult hero. I know there's actually unbelievably some people don't actually agree with that, but like Joe says, it's great to see someone from that team under Jacko come through and be a manager. And I wouldn't have thought it'd be him, to be honest with you, but he's gone away and done, like, he's definitely got a degree in sports science. He might even have like a master's, and then he's gone and managed under Bielsa, and and he's managed at Borough as well, under Warnock, I think. So yeah, I think he's got a great CV, and I think it's a great appointment. I think that we've got to be I think sometimes town fans almost like, I don't know, sort of discard signings that sort of people already in the club, or at least this generation do. They're sort of a bit like, oh, Danny Schofield, oh great, but do you know what I mean? Just because it's not sort of someone outside the club, you know what I mean? People were asking for like a manager from League One. It's like, well, why do we have to get someone from League One? They're not necessarily further along. They might have that bit more experience, but it's not necessarily a sort of the most, it's important, but it's not necessarily the most important thing. So no, I'm really behind Schofield. I think that it's a good appointment. And I think at the end of the day, even you can argue what you want about whether Hoyle's not back Corberan, but at the end of the day, he's walked out. We've not sacked him. He's walked out. He's not walked out for any other club. He's walked out of his own accord. He knew what the job was. He knew what the wage structure was. He knew what the deal was. So if he's chosen to walk out, then thank you, and we'll get Schofield in. We've just got to crack on with things, in my view.
Yeah, just like Brady on this pod. A disgrace, isn't it, really, when you think about it? Joe, and kind of the other half of that mailbag was, and what about the team in general? Are you happy with how the team is lining up and shaping up? I mean, maybe one of my reservations is, are there players there that are going to miss Carlos being head coach, or do you think they'll adapt fine with Danny?
Yeah, no, that's definitely always a worry, isn't it, when a manager leaves, because they're bound to have developed a connection with the manager. And obviously after that amazing season, that's got to build an even stronger bond. But at the same time, Carlos's assistant, or one of his assistants, stayed. I think that's a huge testament to how Schofield is as a person and his style of management. Because you hardly ever see that, right? Especially when it's like a foreign manager that's come in and brought his own backroom staff. They'd be more likely to leave when he does, I think, than stay at town. I think that's a great sign that they've stayed, or one of them stayed with the club. And I'd hope that transfers onto some of the players as well. They've obviously spent at least a year with Schofield as well. And as for the signings, I'm quite happy with how it's looking. Maybe the only concern is how Nakayama's going to do at left back, because all the research I've done, and it sounds like he's more of a centre back. So we might potentially be losing an attacking threat from left back, and then back up at right back for, I assume Turton's going to be starting, but back up there was a bit of a concern as well. I'm not sure who we'd fall, but I guess Romani's staying, isn't he? He could play there. But I think overall I'm happy with the team. I think we made some good signings. Kasumu, I was gutted when we missed out on him in January when we were linked, because I thought he would have been perfect. So I'm really excited to see him. And Rodoni could be a huge player as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, James, how are you feeling about who we've signed, and is there anyone that is really exciting you this coming season? Do you think we've replaced Toffs and O'Brien? Have we got enough there? James?
I suppose we haven't quite replaced. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay. We haven't quite replaced, have we? But we've just got something different. We've got something different. I mean, we've got goals from midfield now with Rodoni, which we didn't have with O'Brien, I would say. Although, we've lost a lot with O'Brien, but I think that why not try and add just something a bit different? We were sorely lacking goals from midfield. Kasumu I think he's a decent option. He looked good against Harrogate from what I saw, but not would say nowhere near the level that O'Brien's shown from what I saw at Harrogate. But again, pre-season game. But I think we've got a good squad. In some ways, we're able to spread that the money that we've got around a little bit more. Get some, we've got still two good options at left back, I'd say. Although Ruffles hasn't really shown it and pushed on just yet, I'd say, we've got decent options there now. And then I think, it's just been good to add Rodoni, just again, something different. We've not really had a goal scoring midfielder for a while, probably since Moy really. And, maybe that'll just be something different, a 10 as well. And then obviously the Tino loan, obviously he felt that, he had some unfinished business, and it actually seemed like, from reading between the lines on the pod that went out, from the other lads, that, you know, he actually would have preferred to come now Carlos has gone, weirdly. Obviously so it's, that's, you know, I think that I'm pretty happy with the business we've done. I think we've done pretty well. So I think that's what makes me look back on Carlos going, you know, sort of leaving and thinking again, like, you know, we've got to move on because we've made some decent signings here, and we could still, you know, I'm not saying we're going to go automatically, but we could still give it a good go, you know, not going up automatically, but you know what I mean? Just give the season a go.
Yeah. Exactly. Move on. Good point. And that is a great segue into moving on to our next part of the podcast, which is You're the Boss. We're going to try shorten this down a bit more this season, just by going through what the kind of last lineup was and just seeing if we would tweak it at all, or we might even tweak 11 players. But because it's the first game of the season, all we could go off is pre-season friendlies, and obviously they changed quite a lot, but he did have quite a consistent formation. Looks like we're going to go with a 4-2-3-1 this season. And I think, for me, what I'm looking at, the way, especially against that Bolton game, I think might have been potentially his preferred starting 11 going into this first game of the season, and that was Nichols, Turton, Pearson, Lees and Ruffles, then Hogg and Russell, and then Sorba, Holmes and Karoma with Danny Ward in front. Because I looked at that, and then I looked at the lineup at Tranmere, and I think that was more giving lads a run out to get up to speed with things, because it's quite a young team. And then you had the likes of Mahoney and Rhodes kind of in there, who I think will be, and then Rudoni as well, who obviously will be on potential on the bench, maybe even start on Friday. But to me, I was looking at that Bolton team and thinking that's possibly his preferred starting lineup coming up. Is there anything you'd change there, Joe?
I think you're right about the Bolton team, but he'll probably be on in his final look and being like, this is who I want. And unless anyone has a disaster, then he'll probably stick with it. I had Yuta Nakayama down at left back, but I think probably he is more likely to go with someone who's been around the team a bit longer and who he's already had a longer look at. So I think you're probably right. He will go with Ruffles at left back. But that position is probably going to be well up for grabs for anyone who makes a charge for it. And the only other change I had was Rodoni instead of Holmes. But again, same reasons as Ruffles. He'll probably stick with someone who's a bit more familiar and who we know what we're going to get. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Rodoni be like the first change or something like that. But yeah, pretty similar team, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, he's started Karoma against Bolton, James. Hopefully his season will be better than his climbing. I don't know if you both saw the video of him on the climbing wall. It's absolutely hilarious. He's terrible at climbing. Town YouTube, the trip to the St George's Park or whatever they call it, the England training camp, looked really funny. There's some good little videos of the lads. The morale looks great still, which is good to see. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out yet, go look at Karoma going on a climbing wall. So yeah, James, Karoma's been up there in that friendly. What are you thinking this season? I mean, there's players like him who maybe didn't have as good a season as he hoped this season. I'd maybe put Ruffles in there. I think obviously Toffolo's wasn't always going to get in over Ruffles, but I think Ruffles signing maybe thought he might have a few more chances. So I guess there's lads who've got a point to prove this season. But would you include them in your starting 11 on Friday?
I haven't got Holmes to start. I haven't got Karoma to start, rather. I've got Holmes starting in his place. So I do think it's a good opportunity for some of those lads to come through. I think that the problem with Karoma is just his contract situations. I mean, maybe on one angle he's playing for a contract, But it just puts us and him in a kind of difficult position, really. Yeah, going forward. I would probably start with Holmes, just because I think with Hogg and Russell, you're sort of lacking a bit of legs in midfield there. And I remember O'Brien kind of used to play left, didn't he? But then like drop in when we were defending. So I just kind of was thinking, try and do something similar with Holmes there. But yeah, definitely an important season for Koroma. He might still go if we get a bid. That's my thinking. But we'll see. If not, then I hope that he has a breakout year and decides to sort of sign something that's agreeable to us. But yeah, otherwise I've gone for a very similar team. The only inclusion I've made is Will Boyle, just because I thought that Pearson was injured and Boyle seemed quite good against Harrogate. Left footer, kind of seems like a light for light replacement for Pearson, other than the fact he's left footed, which potentially goes even better with Lees. But obviously we'll say Pearson's a better player from what I've seen, but obviously we've only seen Boyle play once in pre-season. But yeah, so those are the changes I've made, so not really much to go on there.
Well, maybe you'll be in line after Danny Schofield, mate, with choices like that. We'll never know, will we?
There's a lot of good reasoning there. I like that. that. Yeah.
There is.
Cheers, lads. bit of a delay there.
Oh, James is in Alaska, I think.
Good old hotspots.
Yeah. At least he turns up.
I mean, like one of them sheds in Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, going off the back of that, right, we've had one win in our last 8 games versus Burnley, and that was the FA Cup game last season. So, going off those kind of stats, and actually overall they're about 10 games better off than us in our overall head-to-head in their entire history. So, you could say that they're potentially a bogey side. I don't know. Have they just been better than us anyway? But how do you see the game going for Friday? What are your predictions, lad? James, we'll start with you. I'll give you your 3-second delay and then let us know.
I've gone 1-0 Town.
Yeah.
Just think it'd be a tight game. Both sides pretty solid out there, decent defensively. Or they kind of have that reputation. But I think that we might just catch them off guard a bit, and we've got some good attacking players who could cause some damage.
Yeah, fair enough. You got a goal scorer?
Probably say Ward.
Wardy. Fair enough.
Has to be.
Yeah.
Scored a decent header against Tranmere, didn't he?
He did. What about you, Joe?
I've gone 2-1 to Town.
Bloody hell.
Confident. That FA Cup result, they put out a decent team against us. It's not like they rested a lot of players, and we looked good. I think maybe at the start of the season you're sometimes a bit more likely to get loose results as well before everyone gets each other figured out. So yeah, 2-1 at home. Wardy and Rodoni.
2-1.
I think. Yeah.
God, you two are confident tonight, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I agree with you there. I think obviously no one knows much about Company, but you'd be able to do a bit of research on him. Whereas it's hard to do some research on Schofield, I guess. So maybe he's got the upper hand in that case. I'm really sorry, but I'm starting the season on a downer potentially. I think we'll play well, but I just think they'll just have a little bit of that kind of Prem quality left over. Like you said, the likes of McNeil and Cornet potentially playing, that does worry me a bit. And I just think they'll edge it maybe 2-1, and it'll just be one of those where Town will play well, but I just think I know they've got a new manager, quite a few new players, but I just think there's still a lot of quality in there. I hope I'm wrong. Normally I'm very confident, but yeah.
Yeah, I think me and James are definitely at the very far end of that spectrum, the confidence spectrum. If we got a draw, I'd be very happy with that result. That'd be a very, very good result.
Yeah.
Let's not get that mixed up. But yeah, first game of the season. Buzzing for it.
To be fair, we never usually win, do we?
No, we don't.
No, it's true. It's true.
When was the last time we won the first game? But Brentford, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it?
Might have been.
I think that was it, wasn't it?
Especially at home, yeah. Yeah, so that's it. That's it for all the serious football chat. So if you want to stop listening now because if you don't like a certain footballer who used to elbow players, I'd stop listening now because we're bringing in a new segment this year. See how it goes. We just thought we'd try something different to get everyone involved and have a bit of a laugh every game, just in case it gets a bit depressing, do you know what I mean? Because you never know a town, do you? So we thought we'd try something a little different this season. We all know how much I love Alan Lee, and I have to mention him at least once every episode. But I just thought a bit of fun this season we could build a bit of a comic book together, a bit of a poll quest you'd call it. And it's called the Amazing Adventures of Headband Man. Still working on the title. Might have been the Amazing Headband, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
it. The Amazing Headband. So every warm-up pod, everyone who's on will come up with an option for what's going to happen next in next week's series of the comic. And then we'll put those options out on Twitter for the listeners to vote on. And we'll just see where the story goes throughout the season. Who knows? You might kill him off after the first week. So the first week's post will be on Twitter and Instagram and the Facebook. So you can see the post there. And then we'll do the following one in the thread every week. So the first section, the first panel is the Amazing Elbow is a crime-fighting footballer who fights injustices of football. And all of a sudden he's called to the John Siff Stadium and finds ... James, what do you want Alan Lee to do first? Sorry, the Amazing Headband.
Elbow, Mile, Jedinak.
So he turns up and he finds an elbowed Mile Jedinak, or he elbows him straight away. That's all he does. He just elbows him, yeah?
No, he elbows him in the tunnel.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. Joe, what's your option this week?
Well, it's not game time. The lights are out, and a vinyl salesman masquerading as a referee is spotted in the concourse trying to steal Magic Rock.
Oh, that's good. He's put a lot of thought into that, James.
Oh.
And listeners, we didn't get much time on this. This is fresh stuff.
Well, that's really good. I think that is really good. Well, then mine will be, and he finds a pair of discarded chinos, and that's it. There's mystery behind mine.
Very open-ended, yeah. I like it. Tell you what, I think they're not three bad ones.
No. So that's it this week. Let's see if you actually enjoy it and want to get involved, and we'll see how long it lasts. But we just thought we'd try something different this season rather than just having Aaron Moy win the Return to the Mac poll every week.
We could have a Roy of the Rovers on your hands here.
Well, yeah, who knows? Yeah. Well, that's it then, lads. Thank you very much. Thank you to our sponsors, Magic Rock Brewing, AHTTC10 discount, 10% off, isn't it? I think.
10?
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. You can obviously tell I'm missing Brady. We need Brady back. Sign the petition as well. We'll send that out. Get Brady back. Justice for Brady.
I want my Brady back.
And yeah, let's hope let's hope Friday will be a good night. Are you off, lads? Are you going to be there?
Not sure. James will be.
James, you there? I'm there. If you want a beer,
I'm going. Yeah.
Well, come find me, buy me a beer.
Will do. Danny Schofield's Blue and White Army.
Yeah, come on. On that
Yeah.
note, up the town. See you later. Bye bye.
Oh, what a
Up the
night. Late in May in 2017, Schindler scored, it was a heavenly dream. What a feeling, what a night. Oh, what a night. Wagner singing, we are Premier League. The greatest sight, St. George's Square to see. What an evening, what a night. Oh, I got a funny feeling when he walks and a fence, and then the commentator yelled he takes that chance. Oh, what a night. Lost so safe and mesmerizing me. Low charge and flattened all Chelsea. Stamford Bridge, oh what a night. Whoa, I got a funny feeling when he walks and a fence, and then the commentator yelled he takes that chance.